Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about I have no idea. So let's get started. It's awesome when you start your podcast. Say, I have no idea. I prepared absolutely nothing, which is awesome. We just go with the flow. This is what I do. I go with the flow, not trying to force anything because I don't want to. I used to read from my blogs, which was awesome, but Universe said, let's go with the flow and see what we can channel today, which could be about clarity, actually. Let's work on the clarity part of it and see what we can come up with. This is what we're going to do. So when we're talking about clarity is what do we want to do in our life? Are we really on the right path or not? And getting clarity, there's a few things we can do. First of all, meditation helps a lot. Yay! And I'm starting actually, it's not to do commercial on that, but I'm starting actually to record some of my meditations as well and put them live, which I have a couple already. I know Jenner, my beautiful Jenner Zeno, is working on the music for 7 of my meditation as well. So I'm letting him create those. And I'm going to continue to record them. They are posted on my YouTube channel. So if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm doing, then follow the YouTube channel because we talked about self-care, but also businesses related to it, to how to grow your business. I created a course for that as well and an audiobook. So you don't even have to attend the course. You can get the audiobook and that will give you some insight on how to grow your business. Or for people who are starting their business, what do you need to understand how to grow your business? Because, here we go, clarity in business. When you start your business, people are not aware of what you're supposed to do. What are the steps? What are you supposed to do? Well, first of all, you need your name. If you don't have a name, well, you can call it the unknown, but I think a lot of some businesses have the name unknown created for them as well. So you might be in competition with somebody else's, but the first one is what do you want to sell? What is your skill sets that you can make available for people? So if you're looking at building furnitures, if you are in a high tech and you want to create a new software or a new gadget we can use on a daily life, or something medical, biomedical, whatever you need, or whatever you create, it could be a service. So when you start your business, it's getting the clarity of exactly what do I want to do? Because if you don't know, well, you could spend a lot of time and waste a lot of time and money to be able to do that. But when you have a calling, let's say, I don't know why, but I'm going to go with the bakery. I love pastries, people. That's my sweet little tooth with some good cakes as well. But let's talk about inspiration. You're somebody who is inspired, who like to cook, who like to bake, and you feel drawn to create something special. That is the best things you can ever do, is to use those skill set, that inspiration, that passion, and open a bakery. You have a lot of people you can see online because you don't have, if you want to start simple, you can go online and post what you're making as well. That could be inspiring or good because I would be like, oh, Martha, like Martha Stewart. I want to go there when she's baking, because good Lordy, I would love to eat her food. I love what she does, seriously, in her kitchen, and how perfect it is, which is normal because this is Martha we're talking about. But think about what you want to create. So, as a skill set, maybe you said, I want to just open the bakery. Then start to do your homework. What does it take to, first of all, where do you want to open that bakery? Would be where? Is it outside of your home as an extension of your home? Then people, because in some areas like neighborhood or rural area, you can open it directly from your home and have an extension, like use the garage or something like that to create your bakery. You can start that on the side. Or you're like, well, I want to do it in my little town or in a big town. It doesn't matter. And see where in the location you would love to have it. So you need to do some of those prep work to realize, okay, this is what the plan is. This is what I want to create, a brick and mortar store or an online store as well. You could do that and ship it. Like, think about HSN and QVC, where it's a network channel where you can purchase stuff, and for an hour or 2 hours at the time block, you can come and sell your goods. That you can try that way too, because there's a lot of people who have jewelry, beauty product, but also food. You're looking at some of them who just baked cookies or cakes, and you can purchase them as they're demonstrating how it's done, what the flavors are, and testing it, blah, blah, blah. So this is the kind of things that you could think of as well. So use this as a way to start your business, but you need a plan. What is your plan? What is your forecast? What would you like to do? Because a lot of people can start in their garage, and Steve Jobs, aka, they had a plan to start and to create something. So if you don't have that space yet, what is the alternative for you to start it? How are you going to start it? Your plan will come after you start to sell items. So let's say that you do your little bakery on the side from your kitchen, and you got the people, the neighbors and the cities are coming near you because they are aware of it and they're ordering it. So you're starting to have a cash flow that can help you to get what you need to set up your operation properly. Those are the key things that when you start your business, you need to be aware of. Now, are you capable to do it? Not everybody can do both, okay? Some people are more innovators, most of them, when they create their business, that they let somebody else run their operations. So that's the other thing you have to think of. Who can run my operation? It could be family related. I would be cautious on this one because most of the time when you cannot fire your brother or sister because mommy is going to be pissed, or you cannot fire mommy even though she doesn't know what she's doing, but except to be a little tyrant, could be a problem. So be mindful to who can help you. And if you need somebody temporarily, then use them temporarily. But when time comes, hire somebody who's capable to do the job and that is not related to your family, you will be fine. However, some family work great together as well. But I have more horror stories about family who's not helping each other and more fighting in there than anything else. So if you have a good relationship with your family, that's great. Have them supporting you along the way in your journey. If you don't, then get your friends to help you, the one that will help you to continue to move on or up with your dreams. But get the clarity of what you really want to do, because the first step is really the name and what you're going to do. What is your intent? Are you selling a service or a product? And what is it? How the market's going to be receiving it as well. Is it something that people need it, or is it a one-time shot and you're done? So think about it and think of the purpose and the intent to do it. Because some people will say, well, I'm doing it for the money. Well, good for you. However, if your intention is to do for the greater good, let's say in a case of a bakery, you want people to be happy to celebrate maybe their wedding, their anniversary, birthdays, birth, or, anything like that, then the intent is to make people happy, which is great. Now, if you want to create a gadget that will be helpful for daily lives, electronic or not, then we know the purpose is to elevate and simplify somebody else's life. See where I'm going with that? Get your clarity. What is your intent? Like for me, creating the meditation now, which is about time actually, because I think I talked in previous podcasts that when I was at the Club Med, yes, I did. When I was at the Club Med, I used to put people to sleep. Literally, it was middle of the day. They were all excited. Some did not believe me. Some were a little cocky and said, "Well, you're not gonna put us to sleep." Blah blah blah. Well, within 15 minutes, they were like snoring literally on the floor, and I'm like, "Well, now I know what it feels like to sleep next to you, dude." But you give those gifts to help. So meditation helps you to release your anxiety, and it's improving your overall health and your well-being. It can open your mind to receive information that you need. So those are the kind of things that you have to look at the intent. What is your intention? Well, my intention is by creating the course I have and the audiobook is for people to use it as a guidance. Because again, one of the biggest things I see is that, oh yeah, you can create your company, you can start to run your business, but what is the blueprint? If you don't have the blueprint, well, good luck with that, because you're going to learn a lot of things you don't want to learn. So having somebody who has the knowledge of the blueprint helped you to go faster, avoid the pitfall, and being able to get where you need to go a little faster. Well, I would rather that version than know what I had to learn in my own way. Well, I've learned a lot from corporate. So throughout the years, for me, moving from where I was to running my business has helped me for the simple reason that I knew most of the pitfalls. I discovered some others as well because I wasn't involved into the CEO's life for those companies, but I knew the operation, I knew how the products, services works and everything else. So it helped me to really focus on what I wanted to do. Now, you are the master of your own plan, but remember, the key is that company is an extension of who you are. So if you're not sure, first toy with the name. What resonates for you? What is the best wording for you? And then, again, if you're inspired to be a chef, if you're inspired to create items like rugs, furniture, anything that will be for the highest good of everyone, then go for it. If you're here to resolve a pain point for people, then go for it, because there is nothing wrong with that. But get your map straight. Not everybody is good at marketing. Not everybody is good in sales. Not everybody is good to build a website. Not everybody is good to speak on the front or behind a camera. So you have to work on that as well. This is part of the evolution. I talked enough about those stories, and I still need to go on Wisdom app, which I have not done yet. I want to go back, but I'm doing so many things lately that I'm like, holy crap, I'll have one more things to do for fun, because I like to do that, go online live and talk. But it's really moving forward and challenging us, because since your business is an extension of who you are going to continue to grow. So whatever you do, get inspired to do it, get that blueprint, and learn from, an innovator to know how things run. Not in details, because later on when things are evolving and your sales are coming in, then you're going to get the right team underneath of you to run it for you. But have the knowledge of how things work. Don't be the blind leading the blinds. Education helps a lot. Like if you, when you get your accountant, you don't need to do the accounting, but you need to know what's going on with your cash, where you are with your forecast, where you are with your sales, where you are with paying your employees and everything else like that. If you're a solopreneur, you still need an accountant that will help you to file the papers. Then you need to file on a monthly, quarterly basis. Do everything they're supposed to do, because this is what they learn to do. This is their niche. So learning to put people in the right places can be also challenging. That's why you need the clarity. This is why you need to be honest with your own self. I know it's difficult to be a boss, because people set their own intentions. Some wants their titles. I want to be a manager of this. I want to be a VP of this. I want to blah, blah, blah. Well, there is the wanting and there is their skill sets. So when you're looking at where peoples are in your organization, and even if you don't or want to start it and you're not quite there yet, at least listen to that part, because that is in my book Criticals. I have witnessed it with my own eyes and shook my head and said, oh boy, oh boy. People want shiny objects. Some people are driven because they want their title, because they think, because their ego is talking, that it's going to make them more important than anything else. Reality, it doesn't. But the paycheck is different. Yes, it is. However, if you put the wrong person in the wrong seat, then you're going to encounter more headache for your company. You're not helping the company. You are basically becoming the grain of salt. Some people who are great innovator suck at running companies, because you got to be the good guy, but you got to be the bad guy as well. There is decision in your life you're going to make. They are not pleasant. From hiring people to firing people, to let go of people because of what's going on with your business, to take a different directions, and switching people in their seats as well. So when you're forming your team, especially the leadership one, make sure that it's not somebody who's begging you or threatening you or blackmailing you, saying, I will quit if you don't put me there. Well, quit, and that's just fine by me. I will find somebody else's. But most people will be afraid to do that, said, oh my God, she got all of the knowledge. Well, knowledge can be acquired very quickly. But having somebody who really can drive your team, that's something you have to take care of very carefully. Too many times I have seen, and for people who are in corporate knows that very well. Same everywhere, actually. Don't need to be especially in corporate, but in any businesses. You get a people who will play the political game, meaning I'm going to shine your shoes. I'm going to give you praise because I want something. I want that position. So I'm going to make sure I'm your buddy. I'm going to make sure we're besties because I'm looking at this position. And most people fall for it. They do. They're like, well, we get along well, blah, blah, blah. Then when shit hit the fan, they're afraid to tell those individuals it's not working anymore, because now I put that person in that position, so I feel like a fool if I'm demoting that person or whatever the deal is. So I'm going to keep that person, give myself more headache than I should have. That's where you have to be honest with yourself. So there is a couple of options. If that person is that bad, you could hire a coach that can help you with leadership, put them in the right seats and make sure everything is fine. Or because of their poor skill set and they cannot do it, then you need to remove that person from that position and find something else for them to do, or let them go. Most likely they're going to be pissed. They're not going to want to help. They're going to be pouting. But you need to look at what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses. And I've seen many people taking decisions based on guilt and not able to say no because they were manipulated, and end up with a disaster unfolding. So you have to be clear on how to organize your business. Now, family business, I talked about it too. There is some fantastic family business that run very efficiently and some very poorly. But for the one who work poorly, then fire the people, because you do not want a fist fight every time you end up going there and everybody witness this, because this is not a good environment. It's very difficult. I think it's more difficult to run a business when you have family involved in there and not in a good way. That's the hardest part. That's why we always said, never do business with family. I will not do business with my family personally, because that will end up in fight. I do know that because I know how they work. So that never happened and will never happen. Even when I was here, a little funny story from Mommy Dearest, I had a couple of items left behind, which was was my bicycle, and the other one was my stereo. I had a great stereo sound and stuff like that. CD, DVD, cassette, whatever the deal was. It was a great one. And I worked hard to get it. My Mommy Dearest decided I should be selling it for lower than the price, because she decided to do that. And I'm like, I was on the phone and I said, absolutely not. This will be this price and that's it. She was pissed. I said, I don't care. This is this or nothing. Guess what? I got it because she knew I would not give it up and never give it for free because that was for one of my sisters. I'm like, absolutely not. This is not how it works. But this is the kind of situation you can end up with a family that if you have, and I'm thinking about Celine Dion right now for some unknown reason. I don't know if you watch her, I Am Celine, but this is, I love that woman. Seriously. We have known her for several decades. When she started, she was from Canada. She became very popular in France because she's from Quebec. And before the US knew her, actually, many, many years ago when she was a teenager. And what was interesting is her sister. Her family is in the business because her sister is her hairstylist, and she has her family with her, which is fantastic and work great. This is a great example of running businesses. And you got the opposite side of it to, wow, no, we don't. Because you have to think at the end of the day, your business will grow with you if you have the right people in the right seats. Now we learn as we go along as well that sometimes we made mistakes by putting the wrong people onto some position. And it doesn't need to be leadership, it can be everywhere. But you have to look not with an emotional view, but more the analytical view where you can see what is that person is capable to do. If that person is gifted and has a lot of skill set, then you can utilize them and afterwards help them to grow the one they are not the strongest one to become better. So you have different options. But when you set your business, set your clear intention, again, this is an extension of who you are. So whatever you run, then it is part of you. It is your baby, and you have to make sure that who's running what is what it's supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who is responsible for it. So not easy to take decision when you're on a business. It's not easy to deal with employees, subordinate, or co-founders. You have to learn that dance. That's a dance. But also keep your open mind. And if you get tricked by those guys to do things you don't want to, take the time to make the decision. Sometimes it's easier to say to somebody, you know what, let's see what I can do and what you're capable to do, and put them to the test. I gave example when I was on overnight with individuals I had that wanted to run a section of the back room. I could have said no, and the leadership above me wanted me to say no. Well, they cannot do it. Everybody said it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to give it a chance. I want to see what people are capable to do. And I learned this from my kids, where I call them my kids at that time. I still will call them my kids. When I was working, there was TJ Maxx way a long time ago as another part-time job than I had. As a full-time or part-time, I don't remember. I worked so many different jobs. It's not even on my resume. But those kids were basically mentally handicapped, or that's what you call it, mentally handicapped. Great kids. I love my kids. I absolutely love those. But people were putting expectation, and I shared that story I think a few weeks ago, that the people in a store assumed they were dumber like the doorbell. And I'm like, no. The dumber one are the normal one, not those kids. Those kids were gifted, and they are gifted. All of them are gifted. But nobody gave them a chance to do things. And I started to observe them, see what was their strength. One of them, she was freaking with numbers, but she could not do some other stuff. So it's like autism. If you think about autism, some kids are very gifted, and you have to learn what their gifts are. So all of them had different gifts, but there was one thing they could do, and most people didn't realize, is I tested them on the floor, meaning inside of the store. So imagine the face of the department head of every section cut like a deer in a headlight, like, oh my God. And I will send them with a boat full of items and said, okay, you're going to go and put this on the shelves and you come back. And they were doing it. And I wasn't following them at all. I let them do it, which traumatized a few of them because they were like flabbergasted. They could do that. And I'm like, What is wrong with you people? Seriously. You never tested those guys, they could do it. So I was pushing the limit and beyond to see what they were able and capable to do. Which happened that they did some awesome thing because we were doing end caps. I'm telling you, we did even better end caps than the people that were doing the end caps. Seriously. This is to tell you how good they were. But those kids were good. They were extremely observant. They could tell you the steps. The problem that I realized, and that's something the universe showed me actually, is they could repeat every single step. But the motion of doing it between the brain was disconnected. That's the biggest things that I noticed with every single of those kids is they can repeat everything word to word, but they could not do it physically. That was the disconnect. So I did that with those guys, tested their limits, how far I could go, treated them as like everybody else, because for me, they're like everybody else. There is no difference between anyone, which helped them as well, because they appreciated everybody, even the person that was the quote unquote, I call it the handler, the person that was above and making sure that, everything was running. And they were there only for 4 hours during the week, no more than that, because they're not allowed, because they're on disabled social security. So for disability. So that was fine. And so they had a lot of fun. They were doing diversified stuff, which is exciting. You have to be creative. So were they. Now back to the back room on overnight, where that person asked me, I want to run the health and beauty, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, why not? And as I said, everybody else said, well, no. And I'm like, well, that's my call, so I will decide. And I let him do it. I said, I give you, they said, 2 weeks or a month, something like that. You run it. If I don't like what I see, I will let you know and we'll figure it out. Guess what? He stayed there. He did very well. Why? Because you give a chance for those individuals to shine. Now, when you are and you have a business, you have to see what they're capable to do. So instead then said, well, I'm going to give you a position in my leadership team. Well, and you take it. If you don't know, I would say, do it for 30 days. And said, well, why don't we run it for 30 days and reconvey after that and see what needs to improve, or if it's a right fit or not. Then you let it run for 30 days. And then you start to get feedback from the other employees and you observe. You don't go like a blind leading the blind. See how it works. See what the KPIs are. And KPI, so it's key indicator, performance indicator. See how it works. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you need to sit down, figure it out what doesn't work, and how to resolve or close the gap for that person to stay. If it's a very bad fit, then at that time you just say to the person, well, thank you for that. However, I would like you, because we notice your skill set are something slightly different, to take this position, go back there. However, we will use you as a backup, but we would like you to learn more about and figure out what the gap is and get them working on that, on closing the gap. See if they can or not. And some people can and will and are, and some won't be able to do it. So they need to focus on something else and use their creativity, see what they can do. But again, I would go not by putting somebody in. And as I said, if this would have been done in the one company that I'm thinking of, that I work with, it was a small company, it would have saved a lot of time and make a lot more money. But they did not, because they decided to put people in there in the wrong position, and the leadership was freaking dysfunctional from A to Z to B. It was horrible, literally horrible. So think about it when you're there. Who do you want? It's not only a trust issue, it's the competency. Can they do the job? Because if the person you trust cannot do the job, then you got a problem. You have to deliver. You have to trust the person, but they have to deliver. If they are not able to deliver, then give them the opportunity to learn and close the gap. Again, if they can't, then you need somebody else in that position. So this was our podcast for today, talking about leadership, which I do love to talk once in a while about it. So I have no idea what we're going to be talking on our next podcast, but who knows? We'll see. So all my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast. Universe Podcast.
Studio Stargazer.